Welcome. We're here at Backwoods Mountain Sports. My name is Doug Bernard, and we are live. This is our first time, so if things are a little choppy, if all the questions don't get answered, a little bit of slack would be good. But tonight is the first in our series of Chat with a Guide. I work here in the Wood River Valley and the Sawtooth Valley for a couple of the different guide services. I'm an AMGA guide in training, working my way through the progression, and we're going to share a series of topics over the winter with you to help you get into the backcountry, because we've been getting a lot of questions lately. So aside from all the gear, skis, boots, poles, tonight we're going to talk about what we might put in our pack. And I'll talk from a guide's perspective, and then we'll talk about how we might modify that. And we'll talk about gear. I probably won't go too deep into some of the kits that we bring out, talk about them in general terms, but that's our goal. So if you have questions, send them to us on the live chat, and we'll try to get them answered. If we don't get them answered tonight, we'll definitely respond to them and put them out. If you have other questions, you can always stop by Backwoods Mountain Sports, or if you see me on the skin track, I'm happy to talk if I have time and answer questions for you in that way too. So so far we have been skiing for a couple of weeks. We're pretty excited about it. The skiing quality has been good, although it's getting a little thin out there. If you follow Sawtooth Avalanche Center on their website or on Instagram, you've been watching as the snow slowly transforms. One of the things to always do before you head out is to check in with Sawtooth Avalanche Center and see what they're saying. There are conditions reports, there are observations, videos, and also the chance for some education, some know before you go education that the Sawtooth Avalanche Center provides. It's a great resource. One thing that's new this year is the State of the Backcountry, and that's going to be a weekly event. You can find it on the website, and they'll talk about what to expect for the weekend. So coming up this weekend, we're looking at potentially getting a little bit of snow, which might change a lot of our conditions. So it's especially time to start checking in with your friends, talking about the snow, what they've seen out there. If you're thinking about going out, check with Sawtooth Avalanche Center, talk to people who've been out, and make a plan for how to get out there. So with that covered, because we don't have a lot to cover tonight with the conditions, we're going to jump right into what you might put in your pack. First off, one thing to consider with your pack would be things that are in the pack but should go with you no matter what. And in that case, we're going to talk about a beacon or an avalanche transceiver, a shovel, and we'll talk a little bit about different shovels because there are a wide variety of shovels, and a probe. And those would be your three basics that when you combine those with knowledge, that's going to be sort of the essentials that go in your pack no matter what. You might also consider, I'll be pulling things out of my pack today it's a non-airbag pack, so it's just a regular ski touring pack. I would like to emphasize, it is a committed ski touring pack with a dedicated tool pocket. So it just makes it easier to access your snow tools, your shovel, your probe, potentially a saw if you're doing any kind of snow analysis when you need them in an emergency situation or just to examine the snow. But a lot of times I might also consider carrying an airbag pack, and there is a wide variety of packs. In this case, we've got the Black Diamond. This is the Jet Force. This is a fan-based pack. There are also canister-based packs or capacitor packs. All of these packs increase your margin of safety a little bit in the event that you get caught in an avalanche. Again, there are a bunch of caveats on this, so it's worth coming into a shop and talking to someone about why you might choose an airbag pack over a regular pack. They are a bit more expensive, but if you're out there a lot, it's just another way to increase your margin a little bit. So with that said, let's start diving into the pack here. On the outside of my pack, I have got my helmet right here. And I'm also pulling things out of my pack. I like to pack my pack in the order that I might use them. So potentially when I stop, one of the first things I'm going to do is put my helmet on for the downhill. So I've got my helmet. I use a helmet. This is a Petzl Meteor. It's designed as a helmet for both climbing and skiing. It's rated for both. Options include, say, a camp helmet or the Mammoth helmet are also rated for both. Those would be great options. You can also ski with just a regular ski helmet if that's what you have and you just want to have something on your head for the downhill, especially these days where we're skiing in the trees. It's just, again, you're increasing your safety margin a little bit. Opening up my pack. First thing I'll pull out is a puffy jacket. In this case, I like to ski, personal preference, I like to ski with a insulated shell jacket. So it's just one layer instead of two. Just makes things a little bit more efficient for me. I find it's pretty comfortable. But that might also be dependent on how cold it is or how snowy it is. On times when it's super snowy, I might opt for a Gore-Tex jacket or a hard shell jacket and perhaps a puffy jacket underneath. So I might add multiple layers depending on the conditions. But for most of what I ski in, I'm using one single layer, which is both puffy and waterproof at the same time. I like to carry some goggles. Whatever your preference is, I would definitely get something with an interchangeable lens or a photochromatic lens that will change with conditions. Just nice for the downhill, especially if there's a lot of powder flying up in your face. Just kind of nice to have. I've also got in the top of my pack, where I can get to it quickly, I have a set of sunglasses, just because I like to hike generally in sunglasses and then switch to goggles for the downhill. First three things in my pack are going to be in the dedicated tool pocket. I've got a probe. I've got my shovel. We said we'd talk a little bit about different shovels. Shovel size is dependent on what you're looking to do out there. As someone who digs in the snow a fair amount, I carry a slightly larger shovel with a smoother back. It makes it a little bit easier for doing some snow science stuff. But you can easily get away with a smaller shovel that's quite a bit lighter. So both accomplish the same thing in a rescue scenario. A lighter shovel will cut a little bit of weight out of your pack. On a longer ski day or a spring ski day, when I'm not looking to do a lot of snow science, I might carry something lighter like this just to save some weight in my pack. Also in my dedicated pocket is my snow saw. This is actually pretty useful for doing a little bit of snow science. I carry a small bag. It's often called a possibles bag, like I might possibly need this. I would say that considering that I have snacks, sunscreen, and hand sanitizer in here, this is my probables bag. I'm probably going to need these. So what you carry for food is totally up to you. Just make sure you carry enough. Trail snacks are really a critical part of the day to make a long day more enjoyable. I always carry a small spare hat. This is going to go on under my helmet, or if I'm stopped for a little while, often I'll tour in a baseball hat because I run pretty hot. But it's nice to have a dry hat in your pack, ready to go. I like to have one layer that I probably won't use. So in my case, that's a down vest. Patagonia, Rab, just about everybody makes one of these. It's a great little insulating layer for your core, and definitely doesn't fill up a lot of room in your pack. So, and I probably won't need this, but just in case I just have to stop for a while and things get colder, I've got an extra layer. For liquids, I like to carry some combination of a water bottle and a thermos. I personally like to ski with a little bit of hot tea. That way I have something with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of different taste, and on a cold day, hot tea is nice. And then a smaller water bottle. Try to manage how much water I carry, so I'm not taking water for a ski. So carrying a 3-liter bladder is maybe not all essential. Notice both of them are a standard screw top. Don't ski with a hose, because the hose from any kind of a bladder system often freezes, and it makes it really hard to drink through the frozen tube. Going down a little bit deeper in my pack, I've got a spare set of gloves. Often I'm digging in the snow or poking my hand in the snow, so if my gloves get wet, I've got a spare set of gloves. You'll notice that sticking out of my pack, I've got a radio. In this case, guides in the area often carry a radio so they can communicate with the other guides. A lot of the guides also can communicate off the repeaters if they need to in an emergency. It's just a great way to communicate with each other. If you're not going to buy a professional level radio, something like a BC link in your group is a great option. That's a BCA radio on the FRS frequencies, and that gives you the opportunity to talk to each other. I would warn you that if you have someone in your group who's super chatty, you might want to not give them the radio. Just make sure that the first person or the last person has the radio. Just makes it easier to talk. And I'm getting a little bit further down into my pack. So I have an emergency, I have a pad here, and I have a sled. So this is more of a guide thing than probably a recreational thing, but it's a way to get somebody out in the event that something goes wrong. The pad is to keep someone warm if they're cold. The sled is to drag them out in the event of an injury. You might also consider there are things that are quite a bit smaller. A little local rescue company making a little device that snaps your skis together and turns them into a sled, and that's a great option as well. Going a little bit deeper into the pack, probably not going to use these, but ski crampons have saved my bacon any number of times. Especially now in the early season, it always seems like you're not going to need ski crampons. But I talked to some people who were skiing in the Sawtooths a couple days ago, and they said they saw a lot of windboard, and a ski crampon can take it so that it goes from being pretty much terrifying to be on something firm to actually pretty safe and comfortable. So I generally have them in the bottom of my pack. If I need them, I'll pull them out. I have a small snow science kit here. That's, again, a little bit more specific to a guide or someone doing snow safety. Got a small first aid kit. Opinion is going to vary as far as what to carry in your first aid kit. Might be dependent on how far out you are, how far from rescue you're going to be, how large your group is, and how many days you're going to be out. I would advocate carrying the minimum you need to carry that you think you can get away with, but definitely be able to cover major emergencies, and combine that with a little bit of training like a wilderness first responder or a wilderness first aid. Those are great ways to figure out what to carry as you head out into the backcountry. Going a little bit deeper, I have one buff and a small hat just in case. A lot of the stuff that I'm carrying as spares tends to be if I have to stop for an extended period of time. Things get cold quickly once you have to stop. So if you are forced to stop and sit there for a while, it's nice to have some extra clothing that's dry, like a hat, a buff, an extra puffy. Going down, this is on the side, but it's my guide's notebook. That's just for writing down observations, things that I see out there. A little bit deeper in there, I carry a couple of cords just to help for evacuation or rescue. Again, this might be more of a guide thing, but useful for pulling sleds or dragging. And then I carry in the very bottom of my pack a set of large gloves, especially these days where it's really cold out in the morning. It's hard to warm up if you have to stop. People like warm hands, nice way to warm up. This is probably the biggest glove I'll ever carry. I do have a set of smaller ones. It's little guys with Mammut gloves or a little puffy Primaloft glove. Black Diamond makes a great glove as well. Any number of companies make a small puffy glove that stuffs down really small and goes into your pack easily. And then at the bottom of my pack is my repair kit. Definitely something to carry. Again, opinion's going to vary on what you think you need out there. I would say be able to solve the basic problems that you'll run into with your skis, your boots, and your poles. So thinking along those lines, a way to splint a pole, a way to put a screw back in a binding, a way to adjust a binding, and potentially some straps. Most of us carry a couple of the ski straps on our poles or in these kits, but smaller is better. Again, every little bit adds up. A couple other things that are in my pack. I like to carry a multi-tool. Personal opinion varies on what you like to carry. I have a set of scissors in my first aid kit, so I'll carry a multi-tool that has a set of pliers on it. That way I can both cut things and adjust them when I need to. Normally you wouldn't consider that you might want this at the start of the year, but some skin wax, some glop stopper wax or skin wax in case your skin starts to ice up is a really good thing to have in there. And I would also carry a small plastic scraper, which will help you clean off everything that's stuck to your skins. Normally we wouldn't see this, but especially this year where it's been warm up high in the middle of the day, it has started to become an issue. And as skins get older, they just need to be treated. So Going in there too, this is the age of COVID, so I do carry a couple of extra masks and some hand sanitizer with me, just in case I have to stop. If I'm around a bunch of people or someone doesn't have a mask, if we have to do in a scenario where we might not be able to distance ourselves in the backcountry. I personally carry a Garmin InReach with me. This is a great device. This is a slightly older model. The newer model here, the Mini, is significantly smaller. So again, it fills up less space in your pack. But this is a satellite communicator. Allows you to communicate back to whoever you're supposed to be in touch with or with emergency services. Especially here in the Idaho, where we have big gaps in cell coverage, having an option to be able to talk to somebody, even if you just have to say, I'm running late, I'm trying to get home, but I'm running late, or I had a flat tire. It's a great way to, to keep the worry at bay a little bit. Or if you need an emergency rescue, it does have that capability as well. It does require a subscription, so if you come into a store, they should be able to talk you through how to set them up. One thing, a lot of times with the group I ski with in the mornings, we start with a big headlamp, but I'll start with a small one in my pack, always, just in case. It does get dark here pretty early. It's easy to say that you're just going to get one more lap in, and all of a sudden it's getting dark, so having a headlamp, even just a small one, can make a ski out in the dark much more enjoyable. Traditionally, my little driver, posi driver or a binding buddy, is in my repair kit, but it's early season and it seems like everybody needs an adjustment at the trailhead for new boots or new bindings or skis. So I carry it right now. I'm carrying it a little bit more accessible in my pack. And finally, I have a knife, just because it's small and light and it's easy to carry, especially if you're carrying a sandwich and you decide you want to share your snacks. It's nice to be able to cut the sandwich in half to share with your friends. Other things, a lot of packs have these little side pockets, and I will definitely throw in a couple of things in my side pocket that I pull out pretty regularly. One is some sunscreen. A lot of great options out there, but just a small container. I like this stick over the cream. It's easier to apply. And I usually have a compass in that little side pack too. Almost all dedicated ski packs are going to have most of these options as far as how you carry stuff. There are some differences in opinion on how you carry your skis, how you carry your gear. All that stuff is something you're just going to have to experiment with, but a little bit of advice at a shop like Backwoods here can definitely help you out. One thing that I will add into my kit, if we start going into spring conditions, is going to be something like an ultralight axe, just for a little bit more safety on hard snow, on firm snow, and probably a set of boot crampons if I'm going up something steep. But this is pretty conditions or objective dependent. It's probably not in my pack every day, but definitely towards the spring or bigger objectives, that's going to be in my pack. And then the other topic we wanted to cover, that's sort of in the backcountry. One thing I will say, this is a guide's pack, and what a guide is carrying out there as an individual. If you're going out in a group, you could probably cut your pack size by spreading out that equipment throughout the group. So having one person carry the first aid kit, having one person carry a repair kit, having one person carry a sled, and spreading that gear out will definitely take some of the weight out of your pack and spread it around. So that's one way to cut the weight. Also, smaller, lighter gear. I know certain people in the group, if you come in and talk to Patty, he will advocate the lightest gear possible. There are times to go for a lighter gear. There's also times to go for slightly heavier gear. It might be dependent on your goals and objectives out there. And just know that a lot of times stuff that you have, you can make it work with what you already have. So coming in and having someone talk you through, say, a clothing layering system could potentially save you having to buy all new clothes, so you can commit to buying Beacon Shovel Probe right away and getting out the door. One thing I did want to talk about a little bit too, even when I'm hiking Baldy, if I'm going out in the morning, I'm probably going to carry a small light pack. I do see a fair amount of people out there who are just going up with nothing. Seems like a bold move to me. But personally, I'll carry a smaller, lighter pack. It's got a water bottle on the outside so I can drink constantly. I definitely have my headlamp with me. This is a little bit brighter one just because potentially if I'm up early, I might be coming down before it's actually light. So having a light that I can ski with is a great option. So a little bit brighter headlamp than I'll carry on a regular basis. Things I might have in this pack. One is the pack actually does have a flashing light on it. So it's got I can find the on-off switch. We've got the flashing light. Cat drivers and the ski patrol up there like to see that. They do want you to have a flashing light on your pack. It's got a couple of options here. As far as variable speeds, because I'm potentially going a little bit faster going up Baldy, I'll probably have a lighter set of gloves plus my gloves for the downhill. Have a set of goggles. In this case, I've got a set of goggles with clear lenses for the way down, just because it's still not that bright. It's nice to have a lighter lens. Spare hat, dry gloves, puffy, and a dry buff. A lot of times when I'm hiking up early in the morning, I'm probably going a little bit faster, and so some of my hat or my buff might get wet. My gloves definitely get soaked. So having dry stuff to put on as you transition and head down is a great option. One thing I would definitely say as you're starting to consider hiking the mountain is check the morning report. The conditions report on the mountain at Sun Valley Company. They will tell you whether or not it's open for uphill travel or closed. There's also a route description for the uphill travel and a list of general rules up there. There's a lot of people going up there, so it's nice to follow the rules and respect that and then be able to have this resource because it is a pretty incredible resource here in the valley. All right.
Questions?
I think that covers the basics here. Do we have any questions coming through?
So, Doug, could you tell us a little bit more about how you would decide what length of probe you'd want to carry and what sort of options in shovel you might want to consider?
Sure. A couple of considerations on a probe is one is how deep is the snowpack. So probes come in a variety of sizes. You'll see a lot of professionals carrying things that are as long as, say, 340 centimeters. That's a long probe. It's a lot of extra probe to carry, but it does allow you to do some things in a rescue scenario that professionally it's nice to have those options. It's a convenient marker at 3 meters. So you don't have to calculate out 3 meters. You've got it right in front of you on your probe, which you have out in that case anyway. In really deep snowpacks, it is nice to have that longer snowpack. We traditionally don't have that deep a snowpack. So something that's a little shorter, say in the 250 to 300 range, would definitely be a good probe around here. There are some limitations to how far you're actually going to be able to accurately probe and dig in a rescue scenario. But I would say that anything shorter than about 240 starts to become a pretty specialized tool. And potentially more in that ski mountaineering racing where you have to carry a probe, but you're probably not going to use it, would be one reason to have that. All right, shovel size. Shovel size matters. A larger shovel moves more snow, but it can make you more tired. So when we start thinking about if you have to dig in a rescue scenario and you're trying to move a lot of snow, a smaller shovel might actually be more efficient because you're moving less weight with each shovel stroke, so you can dig for longer. A larger shovel might initially move more snow, but it might wear you out a little bit more. A larger shovel also tends to have a longer handle, even with most shovels have an extendable handle. It may or may not fit in your pack. So that might be a limitation also, is does my shovel fit inside my pack? And is it comfortable to carry? If I'm only using it for rescue, a smaller shovel is going to save me a bunch of weight out there. And whether you use a T handle or a D handle, that's personal preference. If you're doing a fair amount of digging, if you're in an avalanche course or you're going down the path of snow science or submitting observations, it is nice to have a shovel with a smoother blade on the back. Most companies offer a variety of shovels, but the smoother the blade is on the back, the easier it is to dig your pit and have a nice smooth pit wall, which helps you with your observations.
And do you want a hoe mode?
I would strongly recommend a hoe mode.
Can you show us what that is?
Yeah, so most shovels these days, most modern avalanche shovels come with a hoe mode. And a hoe mode is simply flipping the handle around so that I can use the shovel as a hoe to move a little bit more snow. You will see some shovels that have an actual handle up here for moving snow. Some have them, some don't. That's going to be manufacturer preference, but it is a nice feature to have, even just for digging out a little platform. Sometimes that's nice to do on steeper stuff or just for lunch.
Doug, when you transition from skinning to skiing, how do you store your skins and how does that work in with your pack system?
So I generally throw my skins into my pack, but I've created room in the pack by taking my jacket, my goggles, and potentially a warm set of gloves, a bigger set of gloves out of the pack. So you could conceivably get away with a smaller pack where everything barely fit because you're pulling out some stuff at the transition and then putting your skins back in. Some people do like to carry their skins in a jacket pocket while they're skiing, so the skins stay warm against their body, especially if you've gotten your skins wet or snowy. That might be an option. And that would be, some jackets have a dedicated pocket on the inside for gloves, skins, things like that, so you don't lose them on the way down, because that's the one drawback to carrying them in your jacket.
Under what conditions would you, in your own choice, wear an airbag pack? When would you decide to wear it or not potentially wear it?
I think I would probably wear it probably more than about half the time, especially if I'm skiing out in more dangerous conditions. For me, it's just an extra margin of safety, especially if I can afford to go a little bit lighter. My current airbag pack's a little bit smaller. So if I'm limited by what I'm trying to carry and I can get away with a smaller pack, I'll carry that airbag pack. If I'm skiing things that I'm wondering if there's a possibility or if there's a need for an added margin of safety and I can't get around it, I'll probably wear an airbag pack in those conditions as well. So.
Does anyone out there have any questions for Doug? You can type in comments. While we're waiting for those, Doug, do you want to tell us about our 2 upcoming Backwoods Lives with you subjects on December 17th and 31st?
Well, we are going to go, I want to focus most on the one that's coming up, which is Expect to Self-Rescue. I'm stealing the phrase from a friend of mine, from Sean, at 30 Seconds Out, but it is a question, we are running into more and more, we have limited resources out here as far as availability of rescue resources and potentially limitations on care. So what we're looking at is talking about what you might want to have as far as training, as far as in your pack, and considerations for tours and how you might get yourself out of a situation or potentially avoid being in the situation in the first place by tour planning. So we also have in the new year, we're going to have a women's guide night. So we've got a strong cadre of guides here, women guides, and we're going to have some of them give a talk. Don't know the topic yet, but I'm excited to see it. Amy David and Lindsay Mann are both gonna spearhead that. As we go through all these clinics, one thing to keep in mind is that there are 2 backcountry guiding services in town, Sawtooth Mountain Guides and Sun Valley Guides, which offer day and multi-day tours. There's also Sun Valley Mountain Huts, which offers a series of huts for experiences up in the Pioneers, the Boulders, and the Sawtooths. And there's also Sun Valley Heli, which offers a heli skiing experience here in the valley. If you're looking to get into this, and this seems still a little bit daunting because it is a lot to take in, I definitely recommend hiring a guide. Calling one of the services, I'm happy to take people out, whether we're making turns or we're talking about how to transition at the top, whether you want just a day of skiing or you're looking at some education. The guides here are immensely talented and can definitely help you out with both of those goals or anything in between.
How do people find you, Doug?
You can find me, the best way to find me is on Instagram at Mountain Milo, or you can contact both Sun Valley Guides or Sawtooth Mountain Guides and ask for me by name.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's awesome to be out here today.
Thank you all for joining. Hope we get to see you at the next one, December 17th. Same time, same place, same cool dude.
We'll see you on the skin track.